Hey guys, this is Gamer Welcome to another Pokemon trade card game discussion video. This time we are still right smack dab in the middle of the 2004 World Slight Rotation here. Still got a couple of sets after this to go, but I wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about what is honestly going to be one of the biggest engines that we have access to for the foreseeable future, to be honest. Most decks that I build at this stage are almost definitely going to be including this. Partly because this is my unique advantage in the draft at the moment, but mostly because it's just really powerful. So, we pulled two Delcatty in our Ruby Sapphire draft. Nobody else has pulled more than one, and whilst it still works as a one-off, it's much more consistent, obviously, if you have multiples. So we can take advantage of the newly released Magneton, which we also pulled 4 of here, and honestly, just pick up what is the strongest engine of the format as far as draw stuff. We have never seen anything like this in the TCG yet. Obviously, nowadays we have plenty of other things for it, and in different formats we will have plenty of things, but this is the first time that we have had a genuinely consistent ability based draw engine in the TCG, and I am all for it. So whilst they are on the screen at the moment, just in case the text is a little bit small here, let's zoom this in. So Delcatty, once per turn you may discard any energy card from your hand and draw up to 3 cards from your deck. This obviously is great. I mean, nowadays we see Cinccino with the Make Do ability that lets you discard any 1 card and then draw 2 from your deck. This is a bit more restrictive because you have to discard energy, but you can draw 3 cards out of the deck, which is kind of absurd. We don't have item-based draw right now, so this just works, right? You just get a ton of stuff out of your deck and it's amazing. But what about all those energy that you discard, right? We did lose Energy Retrieval and Super Energy Retrieval. We have Fisherman, but that's a supporter for turn, then you might as well just play a supporter to draw cards, right? So how do you work around that? Well, that's where the new Magneton comes in. This is Energy Retrieval on a body, basically. You discard any card from your hand, get up to 2 basic energy from your discard pile, show them to the opponent, put them into the hand. You specifically can't take the energy that you discarded if you do discard one, so it really is just energy retrieval on a body. Because you also couldn't do that with the energy retrieval card as well when you traded in 1 card from the hand. So that is amazing. This thing can also be a good attacker as well. You do tend to see 1 or 2 lightning energy teched into decks, especially stuff like Gardevoir, which we can't play, but you know, whatever. You generally saw lightning teched into decks just so that you could use this magnetic force, because it is 10 damage for every energy that's on all of your Pokemon. So especially next set when double rainbow energy comes in and we can get extra attaches off of this. But even if you consider boost energy as an option, it's not something I'm playing at the moment, but there are definitely decks I am looking at which would use boost energy. Boost energy is just a plus 30 to this for the turn, which is really powerful, to be honest. So this attack is not to be completely underestimated, but it's mostly an engine, right? You're discarding energy with the Delcatty, and then you discard excess cards that you don't need from your hand to get those energy back and do whatever you need to do with them. This is excellent for Swampert engines because you can accelerate that energy from the hand. It's excellent for the Gardevoir stuff as well, right? Because you do just want to get more energy in play for Psystorm. And just in general, this is fantastic draw. You are getting 3 new cards per turn, 6 if you've got 2 Delcatty out, but you're getting 3 new cards per turn, and you are dumping cards that you do not need in your hand, that you will not need for the rest of the game, so that you can get those energy back. If the opponent shamans you, your cards that you have discarded will not actually stay, right? Like you've discarded your Dunsparce after the first turn because you don't need it anymore. Well, that's fine, because you never needed it anyway, so why redraw it, right? So I want to go over the couple of decks I currently have built here. just to sort of showcase the strength of this. I'm going to try and do like a live test play with one of these as well, but if it doesn't work, I do have a test hand already set with the other deck that we can run into. So I'm going to have a hard time beating these decks actually in terms of the other stuff. I have a bunch of things I want to build, but I think these are going to be the most consistent here. So the first one is the Flygon. I need energy acceleration answers pretty much, and these two are my best ones, Flygon and Venusaur. So the Flygon for 2 energy lets you attach any number of basic energy you want from your hand to your Pokemon in any way that you like. So it's kind of a bit awkward to set up, but the Vibrava does actually help as well. That's why we're not fully focused on the Rare Candy here. But we get different types of basic energy out of our deck, up to 3 of them for just any 1 energy on the Vibrava is pretty good. But this obviously synergizes, the Energy Shower in particular, synergizes really well with Magneton, because we can dump all the energy with the Delcatty so we can draw and actually get our Pokemon out, and then Magneton can recover the energy, and Energy Shower can attach them all from the hand. Probably saving 1 so that Delcatty can draw next turn, but yeah, we usually get to attach like 4+ energy with this. It's actually really cool. Overall, the other thing this kind of lets you do is play a very high count of Professor Elm's training method, because if you have Dunsparce plus Elm in your opening hand, like Dunsparce being your lead, you attach to that, you can get the Skitty out of the deck, and you can preemptively use Elm for the Delcatty. What's the opponent going to do? Are they going to Shaman you? I mean, that's the only thing that they could do, right? If they do that, so be it. But if they don't Shaman you, which is likely, to be honest, Shaman's not like super high counts in terms of how many they get played, and even if they do that, they're probably disrupting their own setup, so it's hard to justify, right? But if you can get the Skitty plus the Elm in your like play from that, next turn you've instantly got the Delcatty. You can just start drawing through the deck, and you're working towards getting the Magneton at that point. That can often happen too, because Dunsparce is searching for the Magnemite. And as soon as you get just 1 energy in the discard, plus these 2 online, you're just going to be able to draw through your deck amazingly. Copycat is going to start becoming much more important again now, because these 2 will allow you to balloon your hand size. It is not uncommon in this era for hand sizes to get over 10 cards. It's kind of absurd. The second deck that I have for it here, it's, again, we're going to be the similar sort of idea. Lots of Stage 2 decks are going to just use this engine completely, but this one we're using the Venusaur all the way back from Expedition. I didn't like this card in the previous round, and I finally kind of worked out why. Because it was really hard to set this up whilst also having like your draw engine stuff, but also keeping enough energy in hand to double attach. It was just too hard to do. But with Magneton in the mix, yeah, you can do this dead easy, because you just energy retrieve, what is it, magnetic pull or something? Magnetic field, there we go. You just use that power, get those 2 energy out of the discard, and that is your 2 energy that you can attach with Venusaur for the turn. So, absolutely fantastic synergy with that. The only reason I'm not playing my 3rd copy of this is because you can't stack Venusaur, so it doesn't benefit you to get more than 1 Venusaur out. So as a result, I'm going to take my 1 Blaziken that I have access to in order to further accelerate from the discard. Because the goal of this deck is the Rayquaza. If I'm not going to get to trade these for the Gardevoir, then I'm going to use them myself, because with Venusaur you can consistently hit 80 damage every single turn with this. And the fun thing with this, it won't matter if you have to discard the less popular lightning energy instead of the fire from this thing, because if you discard the lightning, you can still retrieve that with the Venusaur, with the Magneton to attach with the Venusaur. So it's totally fine. I might actually switch the energy count around here, like -1 fire, +1 lightning, especially if I'm going to keep this Electabuzz. I don't know if I am yet, but Snipe 40 is pretty good, so we probably will. But yeah, no, you can just discard 2 lightning instead and do 80 with that, and then next turn Magneton can recover the lightning. So, and Venusaur can double attach. Venusaur's not picky about 1 energy you attach, it just wants you to attach 2 energy. So it doesn't matter which way around you go. So it's fantastic. So we're going to try and do a little setup game here. I have the dual ball, I think. I have the Venusaur deck as the one here. The one I have across is the Flygon deck, so if this doesn't work out, then I can show it with the other one. We'll do a couple of test hands. We've kind of got to play out roughly what the first like 2-3 turns would be, but luckily this format is relatively passive. You can't generally put on that much aggression in the first like 3 turns of the game, so usually it's okay to go about 3 turns deep before you start saying, okay, I probably would get KO'd and stuff like that. So we're gonna go ahead, and this is what I've been doing on stream as well, is going through getting a couple of bits set up here. This is not a terrible hand. It's not exactly the way that I would want this start to go, but it's not awful. We can lead with the Skitty here, I think, so we could get more energy out the deck. Elm's training method is a pretty good one to just get that Delcatty going, right? So yeah, we would lead the Skitty. We can bench the stuff too. I guess we can copycat a bit. I don't think you bench the Electabuzz unless you're actually going to use it here. Ideally, of course, you would start the Dunsparce, but that is not the case here. I've been flipping the coin to go heads, I play first, tails, I play second, but it really doesn't matter. Playing first means you don't draw a card, so that would be the thing. Obviously, going second means the opponent gets a turn to set up. So both are kind of sketch, but if we say that we play first here, just for example, we do have the energy in hand. We can play Elm. You don't play Oracle if you've got a search card, right? Oracle next turn is going to be amazing, but I suppose we would need an energy for that, but that is where the Skitty comes in. So yeah, usually I would go ahead and like click sort as well, just to get stuff here, because it's a lot easier to see what is in your deck when you actually sort it. Here is a pretty rough set of prizes, actually. We prize 1 Bulbasaur, 1 Venusaur is kind of annoying. The one Dunsparce prize, who cares? The Blaziken line is in deck though, which is good. All the Delcatty stuff is there. The other Rayquaza, which is pretty nice. It's like a Pokénav prized, I think. One of the rare candy is in hand, so that's not prized. There's like, I think there's an Elm prized as well, if I remember the stuff rightly. There's definitely a Lightning prized. So, a little bit awkward, but there's still plenty to go through. We're using Elm so we can search for the Delcatty, and then you would end the turn with a minor errand running. The reason I'm playing this Skitty, despite the fact that it's got less HP than all the other ones, is because if you are in this sort of position, we can search for any 2 basic energy cards and put them into hand. So that would be the end of the turn. We would get these 2 energy into our hand, and we basically have liftoff with it. The opponent would most likely be using a similar sort of setup attack, or maybe Dunsparce here, so we probably wouldn't take any damage. So we tick over, go to our second turn here, and from here we're pretty good because we have Oracle. So what we can actually do here is play down the Oracle and search our deck for any 2 cards that we want, put them on top of the deck, and then Delcatty can draw them. So Oracle is another one that we have seen before because of Bill, but when we lost the item-based search, it was a bit harder to play, right? But now it is super good. So I think here, we don't have to show our opponent these, but we would just sting it anyway. We could get the Magneton line and just immediately go in with that, but I think because we have the rare candy in hand, it's probably better just to get the Venusaur line up first in this situation. You really want to get that Magnemite, but I think we can work around it for a little bit longer here. So we would, we need to actually draw them first. These do go on top of the deck, you shuffle it up and then do the thing. So then we discard to draw 3 cards out of our deck. TV Report is a really good follow-up for the next turn. We do have Research, so I guess it's not as important, but still pretty good. And then we can just go, it's going to be good because we have Lightning, right? So we can just go Rare Candy to the Venusaur. We don't have a double attach, unfortunately, but you can still do that. Pay the energy to retreat, and then Rayquaza has a first attack as well, where you flip until you get tails. For every heads that you get, you attach a basic energy from your discard pile to the Rayquaza. So keeping in mind, this is our second turn going first. We didn't flip it, unfortunately, but we had the opportunity to set ourselves up for a crazy strong attack next turn. We would have had potentially 2 attaches from the discard pile. And that's just how aggressive this could be in this situation. So we're not exactly going to get KO'd on a 100 HP Pokemon, so if we do one final turn here, see what we would get. Research doesn't really matter. There's an option here between using Research and TV Reporter. You probably do Shuffle Draw here because you're likely to see more cards that you want. So we would Shuffle, we would draw 5, and then from here we can still Delcatty, so we could still discard 1 to draw 3 more. And, I mean, we're missing the Magnemite, but we do have the Venusaur, so we can double attach here and discard these 2 fire to do 80 damage on turn 3. We don't have the Magneton in this setup, so it is a little bit frail, because we do need that before we start like worrying too much about everything else. But Rayquaza can Spiral Growth if it needs to as well, so you can potentially get the energy back out of this card. Super strong setup. This is the kind of thing that we'd be hoping to see, really. So yeah, that's outside of the Magnemite. That is the fantastic bit. But let's move over to the Flygon deck real quick, because this hand, I didn't fully cherry pick this, but this hand is as good as you could possibly hope for, really. So all it really needs is an energy and Dunsparce, right, to get going. That's generally all you have to have for setup here. But we would start the Dunsparce. We have a Trapinch too, which is really good. And then set our prices down. We might as well, again, simulate going first. I keep flipping tails because I'm bad. But we might as well simulate going first in this one, because that is effectively where we're at. So this is the sort of play I'm talking about, where we can go Elm to search out the Delcatty preemptively. Because if the opponent doesn't have Shaman turn 1 and uses Shaman turn 1, then you are golden, right? Because we get the Delcatty, that goes into hand. We can attach to the Dunsparce, use its Strike and Run ability, where we search our deck for 3 basic Pokemon, put them onto the bench. You can switch, you usually won't. Especially in this situation, you definitely don't want to switch. The reason being, you may have to manually retreat in order to use Magneton to get the energy out so you can draw more cards. That is probably what would have to happen here. So, looking at the rest of the stuff, there's actually both Vibrava have been prized, which is really unlucky. As I seem to get very poor prizes in a lot of these games, which is really annoying. The fact that both Vibrava have been prized probably mean we'd be looking at a turn 3 energy shower, right? But it probably means we need to focus a little bit more on actually drawing here. It's possible just to put the second Trapinch is usually what you would want, though. So, I don't know. I mean, I guess our other Trapinch isn't really going to be too friends, so we'd probably just do the Skitty thing here. And then we're going to need to draw Red Candy for the Flygon, is the unfortunate bit. So the opponent's going to take their turn. It's probably going to be a setup thing just like we had. So we draw. The draw doesn't really do anything here, but that is fine, because we already have the Magneton and the Delcatty. So now we can do the researching, shuffle, draw 5, hopefully get an energy off of that. As we do, so we can pitch that energy to draw 3. Which doesn't get us the Flygon, unfortunately, but that's okay because we've got plenty of stuff for it later on. We can play Dual Ball just to grab out potentially another Trapinch here. Would be our turn. Don't get it because I can't flip heads to save my life, but that is fine. That is the risk you take playing Dual Ball. We wouldn't be able to play another Pokemon search, like a basic search anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Attach to the Trapinch because that's where we're going to be going. And this is where you just stall with the Dunsparce for a little bit. We could even bench the second Magneton and just like focus on that, but I think that's a little bit too much bench space taken up for it. Unless you are content with just stalling with the Dunsparce until it dies, which, to be fair, seems kind of reasonable with this board state. So you could bench the Magnemite, probably would rather bench a Trapinch though. But yeah, you can see the sort of idea, right? Because now, like, if we just even go with the exact next turn, we can discard, we can draw 3, and then we have a card in our hand that we really don't need right now. Would probably, you could even just discard another energy, and you can get those 2 that you discarded out of the ether, put them back into hand, and suddenly you've got a bunch more stuff that you could attach. If we were able to get the Flygon and we didn't prize like all of the Vibrava here, we would have an energy shower that is truly spectacular here. So fantastic setup, really. I mean, this is what the card enables. Look at that. Disgusting. 2 Vibrava and an Elm in the prizes. So rude. But yeah, this is what we're looking at as far as the new engine for our decks goes. And like I said, I'm in a unique position compared to everybody else here. Leo, I'm still never as sure on, but I don't think he has Delcatty. Sai has 1 Delcatty and enough Magneton, but it's, again, only 1. Pepper, right now, has only got 1 Delcatty and 1 Magneton, I think. So that's a pretty sketchy line to run on here. And then Matt has Magnetons, but doesn't have any Delcatty at all. So this engine just completely can't work for him because he doesn't have it. So, honestly, I feel like we are by far in the strongest position when it comes to the actual consistency side of things with this. Now it's just a case of how do I get energy into play. And that's why my first focus has been on like the Venusaur and the Flygon stuff here. We'll have to see. But anyway, hopefully this has been a reasonable lesson slash exhibition thing here to show a little bit of what we're looking at as far as new age engines go, I suppose. This is going to be in format for a very long time. This survives the next rotation, obviously, because these cards are brand new. So this could be the backbone of our decks for the next, like, 8 parts or so, if we want it to be. Very, very strong stuff. So look out for it, I guess. And we'll just have to see. But until next time, this has been GamerCal, showcasing some old school PTCG stuff, and yeah, look forward to the matches on Saturday. Alright, take care.